Hello everyone, this is Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you a video about mixing skin tones and making skin tones using just primary colors. I'm going to be doing this in watercolor, but this technique works with any type of color pigment that you can blend together. I'm using, of course, red, yellow, blue, and black and white. This is part of the topic for our art community, Art Joy of Sharing, where we offer help and tips and tricks and answer questions and have a mentoring program. We also have a live stream, and that community is over on Facebook. You can ask to join using the link in the description box below. So each month at Art Joy of Sharing, we have a topic, and there are a lot of contributing artists who also happen to make videos on YouTube who will be doing this same topic. So if you search hashtag color cues or hashtag AJOS, you will find videos on YouTube from the contributing artists for our group. So what I wanted to talk about color cues in this video is about how you can mix any color using basic primary colors. And you learned this in grade school or kindergarten or something. They said, oh, here are the primary colors, red, yellow, blue. You can make other colors. Red and yellow makes orange. Yellow and blue makes green. And that is all true. However, you do need to be careful about what is in the color that you are mixing, because you will get different stuff based on that. But I picked the most pure, what I felt was the most pure of my red, yellow, and blue in this small travel kit from Sakura. And I cleaned off my tray so that you could really see what I was doing. This drawing that I've made is on watercolor paper using a soft graphite pencil and blended with a stump. I didn't show that part of this project because the idea is talking about blending color and color cues. So if you mix red, yellow, and blue, if you've ever done this, ever, you will find out that you make brown. And a lot of people will be like, oh, that's mud. If you mix these two colors or these three colors together, if you mix too many colors together, you'll get mud. That's absolutely true. It is, because mud is brown. You'll get a brown or you'll get a gray when you mix different colors together. So you have to think about your basic color theory and maybe use a color wheel, which there are some other videos out there from contributors that are talking about that. But I wanted to talk about something else because you've already seen it, right? If you watch those videos, you've already seen them showing you the color wheel and talking about color theory. So I've drawn on my watercolor paper 3 faces, and I made their features, their hair and their facial features, eye shapes and things like that, indicative of what their heritage might be, what their ancestors, where they may have come from. I don't think anybody in the United States is really super pure from any particular heritage at this point. We're all kind of blended. That's the whole point of the United States, I think, is we blend together. But definitely people's skin tone and people's facial features and also their hair type will kind of give you an idea of what their heritage is. So the first girl that I'm coloring is the one who has the darkest skin. And I mixed red, yellow, and blue together. You saw me do it. And the thing about watercolor, there's not usually a white in watercolor. And you kind of need a white for making a tint and a black for making a shade when you're doing this type of color mixing. Luckily, I do have a white in this particular watercolor set. It's kind of a gouache, which is like an opaque white watercolor, but I'm not really using it very much. Every once in a while, I use it to highlight something, but I am using those 3 colors, and dependent upon how much water I put with the mixture of paint that I made is how dark or light it will be. The other thing I'm thinking about is when you're thinking about skin tone, different people's skin tones have different amounts of the colors. So in the case of the darker skin tone, and if I needed to make her really, really dark, like real straight African descent, I would need to make multiple layers or else put the black watercolor in to make it even darker. But I was going for kind of a medium tone dark skin person. So in that type of a skin, in in the color that I was going for, there is more red than there is yellow. And there's not a lot of blue. The blue is in there to darken up the color more than, and kind of gray it out more than anything else. But when you blend those together, you'll get a great color. And if you don't put a lot of water in it, you'll get a pretty dark color. So it's a little bit different than mixing with acrylic. And maybe I should have done this project with acrylic since I'm predominantly an acrylic user rather than watercolor because I'm a mixed media artist. But I thought this would be cleaner and more easy to see if I did it with the watercolor. So I'm not measuring. I'm not saying, okay, I need a drop of this and a drop of that. It's not scientific. It is by visual cues only. I bet there is a scientific way to do it, but I don't know it. Like maybe if you had liquid color, you could make, oh, a drop of this and a drop of that, and pretty soon it'll, yeah, no, that's not me. I'm gonna wing it. So I'm pretty happy with the darkest skin tone, and I'm gonna move to the Caucasian girl. Um, Her eyes are a little bit bigger. Her lips are a little bit smaller. Her nose is more narrow, but really the cue is going to be what color the skin is. So I'm using a lot of water this time. I'm not mixing a dark color. I'm using the red, yellow, and blue like I did before, as you can see, but I'm mixing it with a lot of water on the brush so that I get something really pale. It is always best with watercolor to start with something very pale and then darken it up with layers. In fact, watercolor dries lighter, so it's very easy to make it darker. It's not easy to make it lighter. You can use a damp brush with no pigment on it to lift color sometimes, and you can put a little bit of water there and lift it with your paper towel. And you'll see me doing that because I'm still sticking with the facial shading and highlight that you would when you're making a face. I'm putting the color in darker around the hairline, in the deep part of the eyelids, underneath the eyes, down the sides of the nose, underneath the lip, underneath the nose, underneath the chin. Those places where there would be shadow, I'm putting the darkest color, and then I'm blending it out with the brush, and I keep wiping the brush off so that it's not very wet. Now with Caucasian skin, in most cases, it has more red than it has yellow. Blue is there to make it darker and to make it grayer, but it tends to be pinky in most cases. There are certainly people who have a light skin that is olive tone, like maybe some of their heritage has to do with coming from Italy or something like that. Everybody's skin is going to be different, but I'm just really generalizing here. I'm just overgeneralizing. But I would say that Caucasian skin is often more pink. Certainly in my case, I'm a Caucasian person. My skin is quite pink, and in fact, when I go out in the sun, it turns even pinker. I don't even get tan, I get red. So this girl has more of a red tone within the blend than the other two. So now I'm trying to blend a hair color. I decided to make her blonde so that she would really look like a little Caucasian girl. Obviously, these are all very young people. I didn't put any wrinkles or any shadows around where there would be places that would be wrinkles, you know. In fact, the dark skinned girl looks very young to me. I think she looks extremely young. But, you know, I just drew what I could draw. I'm not a great, perfect drawer. I'm not a great, perfect painter. But I'm just trying to give you some ideas of an exercise that you could do to learn skin tone and learn how to blend skin tone with just primary colors. So I started out with a light color on the hair, and then I mixed in a little blue with it to make it a little bit darker. Just a touch of blue, maybe a little bit of red. And I'm just continuing to do that. Then I blend back in some yellow to make a more blondie tone, just back and forth to get it all fixed in. And then I do use some of this gouache, which is the white semi-opaque watercolor, to do some highlights in the case of the hair, because I didn't leave enough white paper showing through. Remember, in watercolor, white is usually the paper. And that's a little bit backwards for someone who's used to working with acrylic. So, yeah. Then I'm going to pink her up, her cheeks and lips even more because she's looking a little bit pale. So I blend a color of red with a little bit of that white gouache to make a pink. And I'm using the same red and yellow over and over. The same three colors off of there. The red is the second in the second line, second in from the left. The blue is the second in the third line from the left. And the yellow is the third in from the left, from on the top row. Those are the colors I felt were the most pure toned colors. So this girl's going to have blue eyes. And I'm going to color that headband that she's wearing around her hair blue as well. So this whole painting was done with the three primary colors, black and white. I didn't even need anything else that's in this palette. If I had been thinking when I did this morning, I would have scanned this drawing and gave it to you guys as a PDF so that you could print it out and practice this yourself. Because the whole point of these videos from Art Joy of Sharing is giving you tips that are something that you can try yourself and think about learning. I use the excess blue to just kind of fill out that white area at the top. I don't tend to leave white on anything. So now I'm going to move to the girl who has Asian descent. Her eyes are a different shape. She doesn't have as much of a crease in her eye fold as the other two. She has less folding in her eye, if that makes sense. So the shadows are different. But the thing I want to say about the Asian skin tone is that generally it has more yellow in it than the others. So when I did my blend, I still used the red, blue, and yellow, but I used more yellow than the other two. If that makes sense. I'm doing the shading around the hairline, and then on her eyes, rather than doing the shading into the fold, I'm doing the shading on the edges and then up through the center so that she appears to have very little eye fold. I mean, there is one. Her eyes have to be able to open and shut, so she has eyelids, but they're just not as deep set as the other two. And her face is more round. Her eyebrows are more straight. Her lips are thinner and smaller. And she has very dark hair. So I'm going in with a straight black with the hair. Straight black hair. whereas the dark-skinned girl has kind of brownish and blackish with even some red tones in it hair, and very curly. So when you're blending a skin tone, you just need to think about those little tips. More red for the Caucasian girl, more yellow for the Asian girl, and just in general darker for the dark skinned girl with quite a bit of red in it and quite a bit of blue, not so much yellow. Give it a try. I'd like to see everyone try it, and you can come over to Art Joy of Sharing and post your photos of what you did when you were practicing so that everyone can see what you did and what it was like and how your experience was mixing skin tones with red, blue, and yellow, black and white. It would be very interesting. I hope you do it. Please do. And then share in the group. So I'm continuing to work on the shadows on this girl. When the paint dried, it was very pale. So I needed to put some layers in. And I did warm up her cheeks. She has more of a rounded face than the other two. So I wanted to highlight her cheekers. She's going to have very dark eyes. Adding a little bit of black around the features. I hope you're enjoying this video. If you are, please remember to give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment or question below. Subscribe to my channel. I'm still trying to get to 14,000. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. Share this if you think it's valuable for someone to see. That always helps my channel grow when you guys do all those things. And I'm very grateful. I wish my channel would grow. I do. I'd like to share my art and help more people out in the world. But they can't find me if you guys don't help out. They'll never find me. It's just the way it is. So the last thing I do is I end up putting some blue highlights in the Asian descent girl's hair, because sometimes when you see their hair in the sunlight, it's almost blue. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. I wished my hair did that. Mine kind of will show a little bit of reddish highlights if it's in the sun, but certainly not blue. So I think that's about it for this little demonstration tutorial. Hope you liked it. That's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.